It is Friday, March 20th. Welcome to the show. Tonight is the night. It is Friday. Last Friday, we all know what happened. President Trump launching the attacks on Kharg Island. Well, it's Friday again. If any major offensive operation targeting Iran's oil infrastructure or the Strait of Hormuz, attacks on Kharg Island, like a lot of people seem to be saying, possibly seizing the island, anything like that will happen this weekend. And we are expecting something to happen, and soon. Also, last night was a big night for the IDF, eliminating four more top Iranian officials. Iran's leaders dropping like flies so fast, they have stopped replacing them in Iran. And NATO in trouble with the United States, reneging on yesterday's commitment. Let's get right into it.
Iran was hitting oil facilities across the Persian Gulf even before these Israeli strikes. The amount of liquefied natural gas from the Persian Gulf that is shipped to American shores is effectively zero. The U.S. is now the largest LNG exporter in the world. Your next guest will speak to that. Iran's foreign minister posting on X in part, quote, "Our response to Israel's attack on our infrastructure employed fraction of our power. The only reason for restraint was respect for requested de-escalation." Now, in Saudi Arabia, Iran fired ballistic missiles at Riyadh while diplomats, ministers from neighboring Gulf countries and across the Middle East were meeting. Now, if anyone thought that Iran's attacks on the Gulf nations, and especially here in the UAE, would fracture the alliance and the special relationship with the United States, the UAE announced today that it will be moving forward with its $1.4 trillion investment in the United States. Recall, Martha, that President Trump was just here in the UAE as well as Riyadh and Doha in the spring, receiving these massive investments, and they will go through, especially when it comes to air defense. More air defense are being shipped here to the Emirates. Martha?
Overnight, the Israeli Defense Force, the IDF, continuing their decapitation strikes, eliminating four more assassinations of top Iranian officials. Esmail Ahmadi, head of the intel division for the Basij force, as well as several other senior commanders. This guy Ahmadi, by the way, has been responsible for enforcing public order. That was his job description, also known as quashing protest movements. Any uprisings around the country, his job was to find them and destroy them before they even popped up. Specifically in Tehran, he played a key role in suppressing previous Iranian protests. Well, he's now gone. Also, Ali Mohammed Naini, the spokesperson and head of public relations for the IRGC, responsible for regime propaganda, public relations, the IRGC's principal propagandist for the last 2 years, now eliminated, and two other high-profile assassinations last night. This happening on top of the mass defections we keep hearing about across the IRGC. The U.S. now allowing private planes to fly out of Tehran this week. Who's flying in these planes? Nobody knows. Could it be high-level Iranian defections? That's what a lot of people are thinking. And at the moment, mid-level IRGC officials, basically the people who are left, seeing their leadership dropping like flies. Imagine being one of these guys. Every day, another leader eliminated right on top of you. For example, take a look at this. Hassan Ali Marwan was just nominated last week, just replaced the previous commander for the Imam Hussein Division. This is like a specialized military force used by the Quds Force, used by the IRGC to carry out special operations. It's like their elite force, basically. Well, since this war started 3 weeks ago, they've lost this commander over and over again. Each time they replace him, the IDF eliminates the new commander. Counting with the 12-day war last year, the commander of this specific unit has been eliminated 5 separate times. It's so bad at this point, Iran's just stopped replacing these people. They've completely stopped with the press releases announcing the replacements. Either they're just not telling us about them anymore, or there's nobody left to make the official replacement. Meanwhile, we've been able to learn that the United Kingdom has just authorized the use of Diego Garcia, that super classified military base in the Indian Ocean. They authorized its use for defensive operations 2 weeks ago, but now today upgrading that to allow offensive operations to carry out raids on Iranian missile sites in the Strait of Hormuz. This is interesting timing because something to keep in mind. This island is critical for reopening the strait, even if the UK doesn't help in this effort, which they're not at the moment. But this island plays a critical role because Diego Garcia remains right outside the range of most Iranian missiles. It's just outside their missile radius. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi even reacting to this today. The vast majority of the British people, he says, do not want any part of the Israel-US war of choice on Iran. Ignoring his own people, Mr. Starmer's now putting British lives in danger by allowing his bases to be used for aggression against Iran. Yes, they are getting nervous. On all accounts, it appears like something big is about to happen, likely in the Strait of Hormuz, either tonight, this weekend. President Trump asked about this yesterday. Will you deploy boots on the ground in Iran? Listen to how he answered.
Do you intend to lift sanctions on Iranian oil, and do you intend to potentially put U.S. troops or more troops in the region?
No, I'm not putting troops anywhere. If I were, I certainly wouldn't tell you. But I'm not putting troops, and we will do whatever is necessary to keep the price as well. I actually thought when I did this, look, the Dow just hit 50,000 a couple of weeks ago. They said that couldn't happen for 4 years. It wouldn't happen in my term. It's such an outrageous thing because I said it would happen. I didn't know it was going to happen that fast, but it just hit 50,000, and we did that in 1 year, not 4. S&P had just hit 7,000. They said that was even more impossible than the Dow hitting 50, and we did that in 1 year. So it was all done. Everything was going great. The economy was great. Oil prices were very low. Gasoline was dropping to, we had $1.99, $1.85. We had great everything. And I saw what was happening in Iran, and I said, I hate to make this excursion, but we're going to have to do it. And I actually thought the numbers would be worse. I thought that it would go up more than it did. But we're doing this excursion, and when it's completed, we're going to have a much safer world. And the Prime Minister agrees with me on this. She considers it to be terrible what Iran did. I think every country does. Just about every country does.
Well, we know Trump never signals his moves beforehand. He thinks like a general. He likes sneak attacks. And right now, another 2,200 Marines heading toward the Persian Gulf. The Pentagon deploying another 3-ship expeditionary unit. This makes a total of 8,000 Marines heading toward the Persian Gulf. The second such deployment in just a matter of days. This time it's the San Diego-based USS Boxer amphibious assault ship with their 2 other ships that comprise the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit. Right now, sailing to the region, a voyage that normally takes a few weeks, but this is on top of the MEU that was deployed last week. Already en route, that's supposed to be arriving today. Like momentarily. That MEU consists of the Japan-based USS Tripoli with another amphibious assault ship and the 2 massive support vessels. The support vessels are what carry the Marines, the 2,200 Marines. This first MEU, again, the Tripoli, arriving momentarily. Watch.
Welcome back. As President Trump pushes to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, the Marine Corps may be the key. Let's take a quick look at the USS Tripoli and what it's going to be, what it looks like as it comes in from the Sea of Japan. That's the aircraft carrier. What are they going to be deployed to do? They got about 2,500 Marines on board. What are they ready to do? To take stuff. They could take an island if they wanted to. They got about between 2,500 and 5,000. Where might they be heading? Possibly to this Gulf. Not just Karg Island, which the president at this hour is considering not only blowing up the military elements of it, which he did on Friday, but actually taking it if he chose to. He thought that was a tactic that would reopen the strait because 90% of the oil that Iran uses and refines comes through there. There's also Kish Island, and there's also another island right over here that is going to be key. Real quick about what this actually looks like. This is an island. This is a look at what Karg Island looks like. We've blown up the military installations on it, but notice we've left all this intact. If we took it and we hold it, the negative part about that, it would be a target should any type of ship want to lob anything in there or drones come in there. And what is the area that we're focused on? Right here. We open this up, price of oil drops down, all the pressure releases.
That's right. Everyone's talking about Karg Island, but it's likely not going to be Karg Island that gets hit first. Look at this. Karg Island is all the way down the Persian Gulf, all the way at the end. To get to Karg, these MEUs would have to pass through this 20-mile stretch, this super dangerous corridor that Iran has been using to attack these vessels, these container ships and these tankers. What we'd likely see, I assume, if Trump greenlights this mission, is this zone right here, this area right here, the Bandar Abbas area. To reopen the strait, Bandar Abbas has to be cleared out first, way before we can even think about Karg Island. And all week long, the U.S. military's been striking the living heck out of this area, slamming it. One reason to do that may be to soften it up for these approaching MEUs to come in, possibly do a land invasion and secure and hold a buffer zone, a little buffer zone in the area, which would then reopen the strait, take all the pressure off these tankers and allow the U.S. Navy to sail in if they wanted to, at which point Karg Island becomes an active target. Then this morning, this report going viral, everyone reporting on the Pentagon apparently making detailed preparations for deploying U.S. ground forces into Iran. CBS reporting senior military commanders have submitted specific requests aimed at preparing for such an option if such a decision's made by the president. This is the headline that has everyone online losing their minds. Preparations include how to handle the possible detention of Iranian soldiers and paramilitary operatives, such as where Iranian prisoners of war would be sent, two sources said, with the U.S. Army's Immediate Response Force, the IRF, under the 82nd Airborne Division and roughly 5,000 Marines from the 11th and 31st Marine Expeditionary Units deploying to the Middle East right now. Everyone is saying Trump is losing it. This is mission creep, they're saying. A massive ground invasion is coming. I don't think so, folks. This is the Pentagon. The Pentagon's a planning organization. They plan for every possible scenario. That's all this is. The only ground invasion we'd likely see, if any, would be just to take back the strait, secure a buffer zone, a little area around Bandar Abbas to take the strait back from the Iranians. Now, keep in mind, none of this would even be necessary if NATO would help us secure the strait. If NATO sent its navy down here, there is no way, no chance, zero chance Iran starts lobbing missiles at NATO ships for simply sailing through the strait and guiding their tankers through. They wouldn't dare. It would be a massive mistake to drag NATO into this fight, when all they're doing, again, would be escorting their tankers through the strait. But this morning, we learn NATO reneged on their pledge to assist in securing the strait. Look at this. 7 allies concoct a Hormuz coalition statement to just placate Trump. These countries are the UK, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Japan, and Canada. Listen to what NATO chief Mark Rutte said yesterday.
Of the ballistic missiles, of the nuclear capability is severely degraded. When it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, I've been in contact with many allies. We all agree, of course, that strait has to open up again. And what I know is that allies are working together, discussing how to do that. What is the best way to do it? They are working on that collectively to find a way forward.
Now we're learning this was all just a gesture to placate the president. Not smart at all. President Trump blasting the NATO alliance this morning, writing this: without the USA, NATO is a paper tiger. They didn't want to join the fight to stop a nuclear-powered Iran. Now that fight is militarily won with very little danger for them. They complain about the high oil prices they're forced to pay, but don't want to help open the Strait of Hormuz, a simple military maneuver that is the single reason for the high oil prices. So easy for them to do with so little risk. Cowards. And we will remember President Donald J. Trump. This is what the U.S. means when it says we're not interested anymore in indecisive allies, weak allies. If you don't want to help, just say that. Stop beating around the bush. Either way, a lot of people believing tonight is the night. Tonight, tomorrow, the next phase of this war, the fight to take back the strait, take away the only leverage Iran has left. Not an easy mission, as we all know, even for the United States. The west side of the Strait of Hormuz, or the west side of Iran, Iran's western coast, is just lined with these tall peaks, mountainous peaks stretching for hundreds of miles, like it was designed by the Lord Almighty to defend against this specific attack. We're praying the U.S. military can pull this off. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you real soon.